I think there's a lot of like there's a lot of problems in DeFi and just in crypto or just the ethos of crypto that solves a lot of the shortcomings of traditional finance. And
Mhm.
you don't need I think that, like, you don't need a whole lot of explaining to understand, like, or like examples of like things that you can, that it solves. Like, for example, like custody of your own
Yeah.
funds, right? All that stuff. The problem comes when you're on a chain like Ethereum and you can't do anything like when
Mhm.
everyone else is doing stuff.
Yeah.
That's the real problem.
All right, guys, welcome back to another Fantom Edge episode. I'm here with, I think that's going to be a good friend in the long term, with Maze here. So we're going to get right into it, man. So the first question I have for you, I know you mentioned to me that you have been within the Fantom ecosystem since about early 2021, right?
Yep.
I want to know, like, since then, what improvements on Fantom are you most excited about since then? And is Fantom a chain that you kind of recommend to your friends, family, or whatever, to people out there?
Yeah, I'll answer the second part first. Like Phantom, I well, how do I say this? When I got into crypto, like, the transactions on Ethereum were just like astronomical, especially in 2021 when it was like peak bull run and everyone's trying to make transactions happen. So all my friends that were trying to get into crypto and stuff and trying to make transactions happen or just do stuff on chain or get into NFTs, I was like, it's a lot cheaper to do it on Phantom. So I always recommended Phantom from the start,
Mhm.
and I could still continue to recommend Phantom to friends, family, whoever. As far as like usage goes, as far as like buying the asset or whatever, like that's a different story. But as far as like utility and like actually like the speed, the cost of transactions, it's like butter.
Yeah.
Um, the first part of the question, which is what improvements I'm looking forward to, I am looking forward to the I think just the developers coming on to the Fantom ecosystem and
Yeah.
building on. Like in 2021, you saw DeFi Summer, and it was kind of like a proof of concept that like you could have this entire ecosystem where everyone is building and everyone's developing and liquidity is flowing through different protocols. And I think that was kind of like proof that things can happen on Fantom and builders can build without any friction, and then users can get on. And on Ethereum DeFi, like you have to be like rich basically to like to be on Ethereum DeFi. So it just showed it was kind of like DeFi for the everyday user, and that's really what Fantom has a potential to achieve and did prove in 2021. So I think what I'm looking forward to most is the gas monetization, the account
Yeah.
abstraction, all those things coming up in the future. Like, those are just going to make it a lot easier. And shit, if we whoops, my bad. I
Oh,
don't know if
you're
I
good,
can
man. You're
I don't
good,
know if I
dude.
can, but shit, like if we if we can see that type, or if we can get that sort of um how do I say this? If we can achieve those things in the Fantom ecosystem, and I think Andre said this in one of his articles, but like have it to where people don't know they're using Fantom,
Yeah.
then we're gonna see DeFi Summer for years. And I think
Absolutely.
Fantom is going to be that chain that's going to be able to do it because DeFi Summer 2021 already proved it.
Yeah, I agree. DeFi Summer was something else, man. That was a wild time. And the thing I love about Fantom, and I think it's the fact that we're focused on the L1. We're an L1, no side chains, no parachains, things like that.
Right.
So yeah, I agree too with making it easy for the user to forget they're using the blockchain or experiencing something on chain, right?
Right.
The next question I want to ask you is a kind of a shift of gears here, man, and it's around content creation. We were talking about this before we started rolling, and that's something me and you relate heavily on, right? How do the content we create, the diversity of content we create, and things like that. So, I'm curious, what's your goal as a content creator, and what helps you deliver like your version of quality, right? A lot of the times here in the space, we say follow people who provide value. Value is a little bit subjective, it's relative. Something valuable to me might not be valuable to someone else, right? So, what's your goal as a content creator, and what helps you deliver the best quality that you produce?
Right. So I run a number of different channels, one of them being for Revelo Intel, Nick Dracon,
Yeah.
another being a personal one, a couple personal ones, one for gaming, and then one for like, well, like for my hobbies like breakdancing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then another one for pretty much Fantom. Like I put some other stuff like my crypto account on YouTube, but I pretty much have Fantom content on there. And I think the goal for all of them, like the overall goal for all of them is to be able to get someone to do something, right? That's like
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you're trying to get people to either watch your content like for gaming or to direct people to be able to have them maybe like learn how to get Fantom on board into their wallet or something, right? So all of your goal, all of your videos, all of your channels, like they kind of have some sort of goal, whether that's to get people to stick on your channel or whether that's to get people to listen to your podcast or, you know, get people to end up onboarding Fantom onto their wallet for the first time. So like I'll kind of touch on my crypto account
Yeah.
as far as content goes because that's kind of like the most relevant one. But I think as far as my crypto account goes, like I think I posted my first video like last year, like was it January 2022 or something, or was it? Yeah, it was around then, and I actually made my first. It was the first video on the channel, and it's like a Fantom, how to get Fantom from Coinbase onto MetaMask or
Hmm.
something like that. And you know, Fantom is not listed on Coinbase,
Yeah.
but that was like a clickbaity title, right?
Yeah.
Because people want Fantom on Coinbase. So then I was like, all right, people are going to click on this because Coinbase Fantom's not on Coinbase yet, but maybe there's like people will be like, oh, what's going on,
Yeah.
right? So the goal there was to get people to onboard to Fantom, period. And you know, there's no easy way because with Coinbase, at least in Texas, there's no Binance, right? The easy
Right.
answer is like, oh, just go on Binance and buy Fantom and bridge it over. But you know, in Texas, there's like you can't use Binance.
Yeah.
So Coinbase, my friends and family were like asking me during the peak of 2021, like, how do I get onto this Fantom thing?
Hmm.
And I was like telling them, working with them, like I would go over to their house and show them or like kind of walk them through on Discord. And I was like, I am doing this like every week, you know, every like it's I'm just doing it too often. So I was like, let me just make this video and it does the same thing for
Yeah.
everyone and you don't have to know anything about crypto. You like I'll just tell you how to do it. And that was the goal of the video, right? And then the rest of the content on my channel is kind of like they're kind of geared towards NFTs because I think a lot of people cover DeFi and also DeFi is a little bit, you know, it's a little bit murky waters
Yeah.
sometimes. But NFTs, you know, they're fun, they're
Yeah.
like less daunting, they're more approachable. So I was like, all right, let me like showcase what's on the Fantom NFT ecosystem as far as NFTs go. And I kind of just made like quick tutorials on like, you know, how to do a transaction on Fantom or how to um, buy your first piece at Tombhead's auction house, right?
Yeah.
So like all these experiences that you can, it was kind of like the what's the word? It was kind of like the Fantom suite of for
Yeah.
NFTs. Like what can you do with your Fantom in the ecosystem? You can go to the auction house, you can buy something, you can play a game, you can do all these different things. And that's like what my channel at least so far was to like show people. That's what I wanted to show people.
Yeah.
So you could look at my channel and be like, oh, I don't know anything about Fantom, but I'm curious. I can get you on Fantom and I can show you what to do with your Fantom. Or like, you
Yeah.
know, as far as like, you know, if you want to have fun or like play some games or be in an auction house or just all these fun experiences, I can kind of just show you what's going on in the ecosystem. So yeah.
You gave them options, right? To use what the first step was to acquire Fantom, right? FTM.
Yeah.
What can you do with this FTM? And that's where it gets fun, right? So yeah, man, I love it. And I think it leads to the next question that I have for you is onboarding, right? I mentioned to you that it's been like a conversation within different communities that I'm within, right? What's the purpose of onboarding? It's always been that word since I've been in the crypto space. You know, how do we onboard the next people? Coinbase releasing their layer two base, right? So they're going to onboard millions of people. But then you start thinking, well, what's the purpose, right? Someone recently said, is it to pump my own bags? Like, do I tell people to come into the space so that way my bags go up? So what's your sentiment towards, you know, quote unquote onboarding? And is this something you aim to do? I know you just explained right now a little bit about like the use cases people could experience, or do you think it's going to happen naturally? So can you discuss a little bit about that?
Mm, as far as onboarding goes, so what the question is, what is my sentiment on onboarding?
Yeah.
I well, I guess one, like I would like to pump my own bags if I were to keep it a stack. If I were to be really honest, like it'd be nice if my bags were pumped. But I think there's a lot of like there's a lot of problems in DeFi and just in crypto or just the ethos of crypto that solves a lot of the shortcomings of traditional finance. And
Mhm.
you don't need I think that, like you don't need a whole lot of explaining to understand like or like examples of like things that you can that it solves, like for example like custody of your own
Yeah.
funds, right? All that stuff. The problem comes when you're on a chain like Ethereum and you can't do anything like when
Yeah.
everyone else is doing stuff,
Yeah.
that's the real problem. That's been like that was one of the first problems that I experienced, at least like
Yeah.
in 2021, when I like around when I got into crypto and got my own MetaMask and all that stuff. And so the problem was not so much like getting into crypto for the ethos of it. The problem was getting into crypto and then realizing that
Yeah.
it's expensive, it's not cheap to be able to do all this stuff. And then on top of that, like it's like there's just too many steps that users have to do, as like even like right now, like there's a
Yeah.
lot of steps that users have to do. And even with the layer 2, like for Coinbase's chain, like you have to still like have this pop up for MetaMask that says sign and
Yeah.
approve and set your gas and your GUI. And like I didn't know what a GUI was in 2021. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, like I don't think my mom's gonna know what a GUI is. I don't think she's gonna care, right? She
Yeah.
just wants to get her transaction through. So I think as far as like onboarding goes, I think the sentiment is just aligned with the ethos of crypto in general. But then there are just shortcomings and bottlenecks that happen when you're trying to actually implement those, like trying to get on chain, whether that's Ethereum or Optimism or Base or Fantom, right? And
Yeah.
I think uh let me just pivot real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah.
um there was a point where I was trying to um or where I thought the focus of Fantom, as far as like the direction of marketing and business development, should have been like, oh, let's try to onboard users, until a little bit until Andre started posting more, and then until Quantum Miami, where Juan was talking about like what is the marketing strategy, and he was like, we're aiming for businesses. It's going to be like, yeah, we can have customers, right? But like the main thing is to get developers and people to like bring others on, right? Like you don't look at
Yeah.
like, I think he mentioned like AWS. Like AWS isn't out here trying to get people to use the product. Like pretty much every website you're on is built on AWS, right? So
Yeah.
like they're not doing the marketing there to all the users. They're doing the marketing to the businesses, to the Squarespaces, the Wixes, the people that want to build a business or have
Yeah.
whatever on the internet. That's like, when I heard that, my sentiment on what Fantom should be doing as far as like onboarding, it changed a lot,
Yeah.
and especially it aligned with what Andre was saying in his article about like users shouldn't really, like they may not even know that they're using Fantom, and that's kind of
Yeah.
like the goal. Like I don't even know if I'm using AWS or not right now
Yeah.
for like some of these sites that I'm on, and it doesn't matter to me, right? But I'm using it,
Exactly.
and AWS is getting like a business flow. They're getting customers, they're getting clients through.
Yeah.
So I think as far as like onboarding goes, like my perspective changed a lot on Fantom. Like and I think like the stuff on my channel can still stay, but I think I'm like understanding like maybe that I'm not here trying to like pick out
Yeah.
users and bring them on board one at a time. Maybe that there is like a business incentive, like maybe there is a project or protocol that is interesting enough on Fantom that people are like, I just need to get on, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe with account abstraction, like they don't even know like they have to, or gas subsidies, like they don't
Yeah.
even know that they have to like click a button to like be able to make that transaction happen. It just happens, right?
Yeah.
So like my sentiment on onboarding has changed a lot, as
Yeah.
far as specifically with Fantom, as far as like all the information that's come out recently. So yeah, that's pretty much kind of like my thought
Yeah.
process and what's going on in my mind about like onboarding.
Absolutely, man. It's one of those things where it's kind of like there's I don't want to say there's a right or a wrong way to do it, but the perspectives isn't that the perspective is wrong or right. It's just that, well, as long as people are really thinking and taking time of how we're going about it, like you said, whether it's businesses get developers to use it, gas subsidies where you don't even need the actual native currency to transact, right? Make it feel like like a banking app, like you said, like our for our moms to experience that. Because right now, like you
Yeah.
said, getting someone to actually get a coin or a token and then experience something else, that's one step. But once you're a
Yep.
user, it's like, wait, there's so many other bottlenecks, right? So
Yep.
I love that distinction, man. Thank you for sharing. The
Yeah,
last
man.
question, man, to close off, and this is a question again I'm gonna ask everyone. What are you, Maze, bullish on for 2023 and the years ahead?
Uh, 2023 and years ahead. So I'll start with this. I think I was me and I think a lot of us were like impatient, especially in crypto where time just moves like really fast. We're waiting for the gas subsidies. We're waiting for account abstraction. We're waiting for gas monetization. We're waiting for marketing, right?
Yeah,
Like Juan loves when people are like, when marketing, right? But
yeah,
like, we're waiting for all these things that are on a roadmap that has like a long runway, right? Like, I think in Andre's like Infinite AMA, they're on the foundation forums, he was talking about like how long it actually might take for some of these to happen. And he was like, we might get a test net for FVM maybe on like Q4,
yeah,
but that in crypto, that's like forever,
yeah,
right? But that's just puts into perspective, like, what is what it realistically like looks like. And I think a lot of people, especially myself, before all this information came out, I was like, oh, like, I don't know what direction anyone is going in. Like, I don't know. Like, everyone keeps talking about FVM, but like, who knows how long that's going to take? We've been talking about it for like, it seems like years, but it's not actually years.
yeah,
But like, that AMA put into perspective for me, like, things to be bullish on. And then the other thing is things to like when to kind of expect it. And so 2023 and onwards, like, I'm looking forward to seeing the developments,
mhm,
even if it's like incremental steps,
yeah,
especially for when it comes to Fantom. Like I think if I as a user or like a power like self-proclaimed power user on Fantom, if I can see these steps like a development of testnet, or we're testing account abstraction, we're testing gas up, like you all rolled out the Gitcoin grants
yeah,
program, like all these things that are rolling out incrementally, whether they're tests or whether they're live or whatever, like, I'm bullish on seeing those in the short term, right? And then in the long term, seeing that actually roll out,
yeah,
that makes me super bullish, because I think what I was talking about earlier, a lot of the shortcomings for everyday users, especially everyday users that, well, maybe not everyday users like my mom, like
yeah,
it, like people just want to get in and not have the friction. And if Fantom and the team are building that out,
yeah,
if we can see steps along the way, like, I'll continue to be bullish. Um, the communications have been great.
yeah,
So yeah, there's that. And I think like, honestly, each chain, aside from Fantom, if we
yeah,
zoom out, each chain is kind of like, it's having its own part in bringing people into this cryptoverse, right?
absolutely.
Where there's Polygon, they're working really hard on the business development side with Starbucks, with Instagram, like all these like household names that
Yeah,
might bring people on chain. And then there's like Coinbase, where there are like, maybe not Web3 users, but people who are familiar with Coinbase. They have an account, but they don't know where to go from there.
yeah,
That brings people into like owning like having a wallet and figuring out like how to do all that stuff. And then Fantom can be like its own like ecosystem where like maybe it reaches a group of people that don't even know it's crypto, right?
yeah,
Or vice versa, where people know it's crypto, and then they're going in and doing whatever they want to do without the friction, without the wait time, without the expensive gas, right?
yeah,
So I think each chain kind of has its purpose, as far as like one, onboarding people, and then two, like getting people to like stay in
yeah,
crypto, because of everything that's happened in the past, like 1 or 2 years. Well,
yeah,
it's felt like 1 or 2 years, but it's really
yeah,
been
right?
like a year.
Yeah,
But I think, yeah, like, I'm bullish in the macro. I'm bullish on those things for like for all the different chains and what's going to happen in the future as far
yeah,
as macro. Micro, bullish on Fantom specifically, like, you know, keeping like seeing updates,
yeah.
seeing communications, and then ultimately like down the road seeing those things actually roll out. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm bullish on for Fantom, and then with the crypto in general.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, man. I'm excited to see what's coming for Phantom. A lot of fun stuff, man. A lot of, like you said, developer friendly stuff. All this content coming out for any typical user, people that want to go dive in. We got the Phantom Academy now launched with more technical stuff. We got the podcast. So yeah, man. And like you said, I think you're right. A lot of other chains have played a part in that. How can we get more people just in? Okay, realize there's a lot of friction points still, and then kind of branch out, see what other chains are doing. So Maze, I appreciate your time, man. It's been a pleasure, man. I'm happy to connect now and have you on this series, and we could continue talking about other stuff we can do together. But until then, man, thank you so much, and we'll probably have a part two, man. I think it's needed.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. All right, take
All right,
care.
take care, bro.
Peace.